did I have a cool opportunity this week. I got to sit down with Stan Larimer and Michael Taggart of Bitshares with my entire team here at EOS USA. I talked to them about their new project, BEOS, and what they intend on doing with the internet.
What is BEOS and how can people get involved?
Well, BEOS is a middle chain that sits halfway between Bitshares and EOS and gives Bitshares all of EOS's capabilities, plus some that EOS doesn't have. I guess the big thing that we have is jurisdictional agility, which is the ability to put a smart contract in place that doesn't execute unless it's in a jurisdiction where you're comfortable with. And so we're going to be putting nodes out there in different locations on ships, at sea, in international waters, and ultimately in space. And that will mean that in addition to being able to do things like Utah, which has great cryptocurrency laws, and other places, Wyoming and so on. So we'll have a lot of places where people can choose to do this stuff, and there'll probably even be one in New York City just for people who insist on running under the BIT license. They can do it there.
Well, I think it's so cool that you guys have set this up so that the Bitshares generation is rewarded for their loyalty over the years. I mean, that's how I see it. I hope I'm not stepping over bounds, but that's, to me, that is cool. It sends a message throughout the entire community that, you know, the Larimer team is a loyal group. I think that's really a testament to you guys.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Didn't happen with Steemits, didn't happen with EOS. I made sure it happened this time.
And Stan and I's focus has always just stayed on and remained on Bitshares and the overall Bitshares ecosystem. The goal was really to focus on Bitshares and say, here is EOS technology. You know, you guys can plug into it. You guys can take advantage of it. You know, Bitshares has been an interesting project, and it's been kind of going on its own for some years now. And I don't think enough people understand the complexity and also the intricacy of something like that DAC actually out there running the way it has. A successful one that actually pays for itself, that actually is a business that runs and is profitable. It has that legacy, and I think that it's been good for Stan and I to come in here, and Paul's not on the call here, he's in Greece, for us to kind of focus on what it is that we can provide to the Bitshares ecosystem that EOS has come out there and done. How can we make Bitshares more portable? How we can make it more usable for everybody else like that, and allow this DAC to continue doing what it does, because it's a really cool experiment.
We left Bitshares alone for 4 years after launching it, and you know, it's time that we exerted a little influence to get it back on track, and so we're not apologizing for that. That was part of the plan, and the main thing we want to do with our voting power is to vote for Bitshares to integrate better with BEOS so that we get higher fidelity and more autonomy in our cross-chain communications.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the big thing that we'll be pushing for with the voting power, is getting Bitshares to fund the changes it needs to make to its own system in order to allow us to interface with it.
I tell Stan, I'm like, you know, democracy is good until it's not. You know, you can have over democratization at times, and what happens sometimes is kind of what you see in bureaucratic societies where nothing happens at all, or it takes so long for anything to occur that you can't remain competitive. And anybody that understands business and anybody that understands technology knows to survive, you have to be agile. And you can't have agility in an over bureaucratized system. You know, every once in a while, you just have to, you know, you have to take care of business, you know, and if that means that we have to come in like we are right now, and yes, we have a lot of power and we're not going to use it poorly, but we're going to use it to make sure that Bitshares is as competitive as possible for now and in the next few years. And I think adding EOS's features is going to get it most of the way there. There's a couple of additional features I think that we're considering putting out there. But everything will be put up to a vote for the community, and you know, we're going to be very transparent about everything.
You've heard it said that EOS will have a Bitshares, but I say to you, Bitshares will have an EOS. Ultimately, what we're doing, we are giving Bitshares an upgrade, but it's a virtual upgrade because people who don't want Bitshares to change don't have to have it change.
It's like
It'll still be what it was. But we got this new chain that will add features to it and make all the smart contract capability of EOS in a jurisdictionally agile way available to every asset on the Bitshares network. So everything that you make on the Smart Coin Factory will get made portable across to BEOS and from there across to EOS. So now Bitshares can be an asset that looks for all the world like it's part of the EOS infrastructure. And hopefully that will make a big difference in the value of Bitshares.
And Stan wasn't kidding about, you know, this international waters thing or anything like that. How many of those servers did we get sent over to Dan to configure? Do you know?
Yeah, he's got nine special purpose servers that will configure up that can be then put on ships at sea.
Right.
And, you know, if we can get them spread out on cruise ships in different parts of the world, then there's always a cruise ship at sea somewhere to take the load up to make it work. We'll see if we can't get our first one up this summer and then expand it out after that. And of course, the idea of putting it in space will take a little longer. We got to actually design the satellites and launch them. We do have one little satellite up there that is pretty low power. We will be doing some side tests, but I don't think it'll be powerful enough to run a full-up node. So we got to get our full-scale space-based system up there in the next couple of years, and that'll be a project done by Sovereign Sky.
Right. We will be putting some further ones up there with Sovereign Sky, as Stan said. But now we know the configuration, so I feel like the next one will be a little bit better for us. And then we're also working on a project called Mission Space, which is telescopes. You can look at it at missionspace.one. But it's basically telescopes to replace the Hubble, and we're going to piggyback on those with nodes as well for BEOS. It's another project that we're involved in. It will be using BEOS as its protocol and BEOS-based tokens for powering it. And it's really cool. I mean, it's space exploration from any web-enabled device. So you can lease time or basically set aside time on a server and or I'm sorry, on one of the satellites on the telescope, and you can just go and look at, you know, Jupiter's moon Titan or something like that in live time. And it's, you know, with you know, insane resolution too. You know, you guys, Stan in his former life was, you know, in NASA, you know, SpaceX, you know, space exploration stuff, and we've got a couple of other astronauts on the team. We actually just got cleared to raise or a Reg D on it while they're finishing up the Reg A plus filing. So I mean, all this is like super legit, by the book, filed with, you know, regulatory agencies, to the point now, like, you know, the office is now at the University of Limerick in Ireland, and Irish government's been asking about it, and they're interested in it and stuff like that. So all this stuff, as much as it sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, because I think about it, and if I post something, all my friends just think I'm like April Fool's them or something. But this is the stuff that we're up to right now, and it's not pie in the sky. This is happening, and it's just quietly been happening for the last year or two while we've been kind of moving things around and getting it in place.
This jurisdictional agility, can you give me a couple of use cases? And that's question number one. I have one more follow-up question. Like, why is this a great thing for the bank?
Well, literally anything that somebody wants to do that they can't do inside their home country, that they can program as a DApp to run on the blockchain and execute only when it's in a place where it's allowed to happen. You know, obviously, the ideas of if you take a cruise ship, you'll note that every cruise ship out there has a casino on it, and that casino shuts down when it goes into port, and then when they go out to sea, they turn on again, and they're free to run their whole casino in an unlicensed way while they're out at sea. So that same kind of functionality for whatever you want to do is there, and gives people the option to then build their businesses to run wherever the laws are allowed. So this may sound like it's against regulation, but it's actually to comply with regulations. Companies can specifically select where they're going to operate that will be in compliance with whatever regulations are there, and not to operate when they're in an area where the regulations would prohibit their business.
You know, you were asking for a use case. You know, one of the use cases could be just transactions not passing through New York, you know, because of bit licensing. And that's ensuring compliance by the dApp creator or the business just as much, just to make sure that nothing even passes through a server in New York. Now they have no argument, you know, they didn't even touch it. By enabling this too, it will allow, you know, some communications to happen. If Sovereign Sky gets its entire vision complete along with the Ruan project, then, you know, we're talking about bypassing the regular internet grid, because they would be beaming down the transactions to set tops and stuff like that. So it would, the government in and of itself can sit there and you know, take a copy of all of the encrypted data going through it right now with the hopes of later on trying to decrypt it when they've got the technology for that. But if it never touches their server, then what? You know?
Yeah, there's a company out there that has phased array satellite communications network that can split up the beams from that satellite into tens of thousands of beams and direct 10 megabits per second to any cruise ship out there that's moving anywhere it's at. In fact, that's what Royal Caribbean uses right now to provide internet service for its cruises, is these satellites that can do that. So when we're done, we'll have a platform that doesn't actually have to enter into any jurisdiction that's unfriendly, and all traffic will take place outside of those jurisdictions.
Right.
Second question. It's 3 years from today. What does Bitshares and what does BEOS look like in your opinions?
Well, I would say that my vision for BEOS is that it's a entirely new financial system in space, or an international arena at one point or another, that gives people the ability to do every type of business you could imagine. And so that would be something that would be a replacement internet, although we're not necessarily saying we're going to be the sole deployer of that internet. Elon Musk is doing it, Bill Gates wanting to do it. There are a number of different companies out there that are putting internet in space. We want to tie into that system and get to the point where all of our traffic is either up and down through very tight pencil beams to specific locations, or just hopping around in the clouds up in space or down to ships at sea in a completely off the regular internet position.
For BEOS, you know, part of my goal with it is some of the projects that we're working on right now, just overall integration on them. They're all going to be, you know, a few years of building out these projects. And Mission Space, hopefully we'll have its first satellite out by next year, mid-year, and we actually have performance and all that with timelines and everything pretty put together on it. A couple of the other companies on there, same sort of thing. Porting Quintric over, if you guys are familiar with the Quintric project that Stan and I are doing with the legal tender, gold and silver, crypto stuff, porting that over to BEOS. I don't know if you guys know this, but EOS tokens can already port over to BEOS and be locked up there and back over to EOS. If you guys didn't know that, it's already there. We didn't enable the movement over there yet, but in the test net, it's already functioning and done, and it's all good to go. So EOS-based tokens can move over to BEOS, and if we set up gateways for each token over on the other side, they could go over to Bitshares as well. So my goal is to have complete portability across the line, even with Ethereum-based tokens, ERC-based ones, over the next couple of years. complete token portability across blockchains. So now it's not a freaking argument about whose blockchain's better. It's just what sort of token and what sort of attributes of that token, and do you want smart contract capabilities or not? What do you need for the use case, and then use it. And guess what? You know, we don't have to argue about this crap anymore. Now it can just go anywhere they want. The analogy I give is just like having a big super highway. You know, eventually you're going to want to get off onto a surface street because you want to go to grandma's house and she lives over in that neighborhood, right? And so as you get off of the EOS or the BEOS freeway, you get onto the Ethereum, you know, road, you know, over to, you know, Doge Street, you know, whatever.
Single lane.
Right, yeah, it's very single lane. You know, potholes and shit.
Maybe a gravel road, yeah.
But I mean, that's the analogy of it. And so we're all driving on roads, right? It's just, you know, some people like Ferraris and some people like Pintos, and you know, and so some people are going to want to use different sort of devices on different roads, but we're all using, you know, something. We're all traveling, and I feel like that'll kind of quash some of the tribalism that's happening within BitShares, or not BitShares, but crypto in general, BitShares for sure. But you know, it won't ever kill it all. But by making all the tokens interoperable and allowing them to kind of be cross-compatible, it will take away a lot of pressure off of a lot of these guys. Okay, how about we just start putting out features on chains and creating dApps to actually function on these things versus just, you know, having this big battle over whose is better. It's just dumb.
Another thing that I could mention is that BEOS has another little attribute. It's also backed by Quintric's gold. You know, it's a very small little sliver of gold, just 1 millionth of an ounce having each of the shares. But it does sort of platform a minimum value to the tokens, and more importantly, it makes it PC legal tender. Puts it into a category where we don't have to argue with security or not.
Right.
Okay, now that's a neat tidbit. I had not heard that. So it is, every BEOS token is backed by a sliver of gold?
A very small one, yeah. I think it's like, what, 1 million BEOS tokens for 1 quint, I think.
Okay.
But
it's a baseline. But you're saying that qualifies as a currency?
It is backed. So
Yeah.
Well, it is, yeah. It does have an ultimate floor, right? And if gold goes parabolic, then, hey, you know, Yahtzee, right?
Right.
And so what we decided to do is, okay, number one, we'll back BEOS with gold and silver legal tender seen by the government as being money, number one. Number two, we will issue that through a nonprofit organization, through basically what's called a limited cooperative association. And the reason why is for a few different reasons, but one big reason is a limited cooperative association nonprofit can issue out a security without regulatory oversight or any sort of filing by state or by federal. So even if BEOS were to become or be seen as a token classified as a security, we're still compliant, right? And now we don't believe it's a security in any way, shape, or form. We already built it. There's no investors. There's already 2 of them out the window. But in case they want to, like, you know, wave their hands around and hocus pocus us on it, you know, we still are able to have the argument of it being not a security. So not only is it not a security because of those reasons, even if it was a security, we're still okay on it. But we're still contending it's not, and we're backing it by legal tender gold and silver. And you can send those tokens in and redeem it at the ultimate floor price if you want to. So it will never go to an actual zero.
And the other thing that happens is all transactions actually take place through Utah.
Right.
When you actually hand off a token to somebody, you're handing it from one account in Utah to another account in Utah. And that means that there is no money transmission happening anywhere. And so that's another thing. There's a lot of legal work we did in order to make this thing as bulletproof as possible.
What's so special about Utah?
Well, a few things. Number one, Larry's in Utah, so that helps. Number two, gold and silver is very protected in Utah. In fact, it has a special classification because Utah has actually drafted and enacted additional rules that Larry helped provide. The state attorney general is actually a customer of the other side of the service, which is the just the gold and silver, almost like a credit union, and they have a card that swipes at a register and takes off their gold and silver and stuff like that. So it's a good state for that sort of thing. It's an anti-federalist state, so if anybody wanted to come in there and start swinging their hands around, Utah's going to definitely stand up and say, I don't think so. So from that standpoint, it's good. And then Utah's escrow laws are very, very strong. And so what happens is through this cooperative association, when you do any sort of trade, when you do any sort of transaction with BEOS, it happens through that association level through an escrow layer from person to person. No money transmission, licensing needed, none of this stuff happening there. It's all done through the association. It's done through an escrow. So even if they wanted to come, they would still have to penetrate Utah. They'd also have to penetrate escrow law in Utah in order to really get somewhere. Yeah. So we've got, like I said, Stan said, we've got a lot of legal legwork on this. We have layers and layers and layers of what I would consider to be stops, Now,
are you guys located in Virginia?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia, not too far from where Dan works with his EOS team.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm in Idaho, and I go back and forth to Utah. Idaho's another one of those maverick states. So.
But we have people in Ireland and Greece and Thailand, all over the place, who are contributing to the project. So we're not really tied down to any one state.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about because we're a block producer, and of course we're anxious to find out more about being a block producer for BEOS. How does that work?
Well, all we have to do is reach an agreement with people who want to be block producers. Obviously, because our nodes have to be located in specific locations, we probably are going to wind up providing the hardware and let block producers supervise what software goes on there and run that part of the business. But obviously in space, not everybody will be able to put up their own space-based node. You'll have to rent one from us.
Do you see like additional, jurisdictional agility is great, but if you don't need that, will there be other nodes that, like in South Carolina, where it doesn't really matter if you need to have the normal, you don't want it to be in New York, but, is there that middle ground, or are y'all just really trying to stick with, no, everything's jurisdictionally agile?
No, it's perfectly fine to locate it in different places. We've talked to people in Australia, and we've got a node up in the bunker in Canada. And so, there are other places where we are willing to put nodes. So we really want to have high quality people who can look after it and build a reputation up. And we're really wanting to be dealing with different businesses who will pick up and run a node as part of what their business is. And therefore we have a high quality and a certain degree of trust that people have from that, as opposed to right now, there's a lot of anonymous nodes out there that nobody knows anything about. So
we've considered this. Obviously, we've been involved with BEOS stuff since the inception of it. So we've had several iterations of it that Stan and I and a lot of the other guys have been able to watch and see how people react and act and otherwise. And also approached by businesses asking about blockchain and building on blockchain and wanting to make dApps and all sorts of stuff. And one of the things I've realized is that, and just having lots of businesses over the years, is that when you build your business on somebody else's platform, you are at their freaking mercy. And so as a dApp creator or a business creator that is creating something on a protocol layer, you need to be concerned about who the hell is running that. And it's a problem that we can't fix through the dogma of purist decentralization. As much as I want it, as much as I love it, as much as Stan and I eat the dog food and drink all the Kool-Aid all day long, we still are practical to the point that you have to realize a couple those things. One of them being we have to know who some of these people are, if not most of them in some way, shape, or form. We have to have some level of trust. We have to kind of understand what it is and who they are, because these businesses are building on our protocol layer, which is not, which we own the IP on. We're not just giving this out like we did on Bitshares or everything else. We own the IP on for a reason. We don't want to have and ask and bring these businesses and onboard and have them raise tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to build some shit, and then have some block producers go rogue, and next thing you know, investors are out money. Sorry, y'all, I'm not going to apologize for that. So long story short, we are going to require some of that. We do want to know who you are. We will have some sort of licensing agreement to run our software or to be a block producer in that way. People building dApps on there will probably need to come to us and submit the dApp and what it is and who they are and what kind of business it is. Oh my gosh, because we want to make sure that the entire environment is protected from risks as much as possible, that we've got some diligence on there, and that we can tell them too, we know who our block producers are. The voters can vote them in and out at any given time, but the pool of producers that are being chosen from have been vetted. We know who they are, and there could be some recourse against them if somebody wants to go and detonate your damn business because they don't like you. This has happened. I've seen it happen. And so we have to take the lessons that we've learned over time, what humans actually do when they give them the freaking chance to do something, and the opportunities that we give them out there, and come together with some sort of system that we can make it all work. And this is what we've come up with so far from all these lessons.
Bitshares, we used to say, was an industrial grade blockchain compared to things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, which couldn't handle the load and still can't handle. But we wanted to go to institutional grade on BEOS so that real big institutions can move on to that blockchain and use the services of Bitshares, but not be dependent upon it.
When a bank comes to us and they just say, okay, how does this work? And how would we be able to use you? And then they get to the part of block producers. Okay, who's running the network? Well, I don't fucking know.
That's some guy over there.
Right. So it comes down to that. What Stan said. We're looking for institutional grade stuff. We're looking for businesses that want to build, 7, 8, 9-figure companies on our protocol, and we're going to provide it to them, and we're going to do everything that we can to provide them a stable layer to do that on.
Do you see any today, maybe or maybe not, that the Panama node would be a need, or do you already have Panama covered?
The Panama node would be ideal. For one thing, it's going to lie inside the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, which means it'll be under the footprint of our first 8 satellites.
Nice.
In equatorial orbit, right? So we straight down to you every time a satellite comes over. We put 8 of them up. There's always one coming by, and it would go right straight down. That'd be great.
A lot of OTC trading desks will take the crypto in, and they'll move it into gold as the intermediary, and then back out to crypto on the other side. But the problem is it's still a barter transaction because they're still using gold as a commodity in there. And what I would like to see is people use the Quintric system that we built, because it's a legal tender. It's not, there's no cap gains on that. It's not a barter transaction. And so Quintric can act as an intermediary layer in between all of it. And then it can pop back out as whatever it wants to. And it can pop back out as cash because it's a legal tender transaction when it comes out as cash, right? So there's a lot of ways for this to work. I love Panama. Huge financial, center. Good spot to be, especially from the banking sector. I would like to see something like that,
Okay, great. That's good to know. That is.
So what this is a legal tender crypt node. This is made out of 24 karat gold. Yeah. And so we make these, right? This is worth about 25 quint. And quint is 1/1000th of an ounce of gold, so it's 5 gold cents. Okay. This is 25 of those, so it's about $40 US worth of gold. Now, $8 worth of gold is in this bill The other $32 is vaulted in our vault with 8K cameras pointed at all of it, so we can prove that all the gold and silver is there, right? And then what you do with this is a physical representation of digital currency wallet. This is patented too. But this serial number right there that you see in the red, that is a corresponding Bitshares wallet. That is a wallet on the Bitshares network that has this balance in it that you can verify by going to any explorer that you want to. So by taking this note and handing it to somebody else, it could be seen as a bearer bond, but I see it as a physical representation of a digital currency wallet that people can then interact and transact with. If you send this to us, we give you either digital currency or cash or gold and silver legal tender. This can be circulated around, right? So
I'd rather have that than this.
I agree.
For that.
We do. So what we do is we take all those dollars you give us, and then we go to the U.S. Mint, we buy all their gold and silver coins that are legal tender with it and give them all their shitty money back.
Great idea. Great idea.
When you guys are talking about like a clearinghouse of sorts like that, being able to go in and out of something that is not going to cause taxable events for them, something that they are able to then cash in and out, something that does give them an actual physical redemption value option, those are very, very powerful, right? And so that's what I want to see. We've been very quietly working on the APIs for Quintric and this and that and a few other things. We have a Venmo-based app now that's basically anybody in the planet can SMS or text each other, whether they have an account or not. The recipient clicks the link, adds their credit card number, and adds their date of birth, and boom, and their email address, and boom. Every time they send money to somebody else, it takes it off their credit card, converts it into legal tender gold and silver cryptocurrencies, and drops it in their wallet, and that other person can then settle out or spend it or do whatever, right? And they don't even need to worry about buying cryptocurrency anymore because we seamlessly do it through this. And it's not buying crypto with credit card, debit cards, checking accounts, ACHs, all that stuff, because it's gold, it's money for money. So the banks don't have any issue with it. How can you get some of this?
I'm a metal bug.
Okay.
That's what I was prior to being a crypto bug. But gold and silver, I saw that, I was like, wow, it blew my mind.
Right.
I'd love to put that in my collection.
Shoot me your email address, and I will show you how you can get yourself some of these.
Yes.
How cool.
Yeah. I was giving those out for gifts for Christmas this year. It went over fabulously.
I bet. I'm sure.
I bet. What do you guys think Block One's going to announce in June?
I have no idea, and if I did have an idea, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I don't know either. I think it'll have something to do with the banging around that Daniel's been doing it. You know, when he said, you know, we can run all of Ethereum in one smart contract last year, and everybody was just snickering at that and stuff like that. I laughed because I was like, it's true, and don't tempt him, because if he doesn't, and I think it's going to be something around there where I think it's just going to be another one of those big object lessons for the community, and to take a look at and say, oh shit.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to make sure that we get out to the community about BEOS?
For me, you know, we've got 88 point something days left of this initial rainfall. So there's two rainfall periods. There is the first rainfall period, which is this first 89 days. That's going to be the initial BEOS distribution period. And then there's going to be an 80-week period of ramfall where we are distributing the RAM as well. So anybody that will start after the 89th day. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so what'll happen is that'll be another 80 days. All of it's still same system, so staked Bitshares.
Bitshares.
Wallet will basically get them their RAM distributions as well. So we want to incentivize people staying on board. You know, and also I want to point out too that this allows people to store their BTS on a Nano, which everybody's been asking to be able to store their BitShares on a Nano for a couple of years now, and guess what? Now you can. At least on the 89th day when we turn these loose and people can transfer the BEOS out, they can put them on Nanos now. I would like for people to continue to stake their BTS, or at least store their BTS in their BEOS wallets. By doing that, they're supporting BEOS as not just a blockchain initiative, but they're supporting it through votes and stuff like that. That does enable us to go out there and do some stuff on the BitShares network, seek some funding, and things like that, which is important to us. And it also allows their tokens to be more portable by just using it that way. So hopefully by them just moving it over into BEOS, and then we've seen some withdrawals out, and then they move it right back in because they just want to make sure that they can move it. Now people are saying, oh, okay, and I think we're at like 235 million right now, and still rising. So we have more BEOS in our wallet, or I'm sorry, BTS in our wallet than anybody else on the planet. Probably start adding together some of the biggest exchanges now, because that's, you know, we're going to be pushing that here probably in the next week or two.
Wow.
That's a lot of BTS, you know.
That's a lot of BTS
in one spot. I told those guys, I'm like, those cold wallets better be super cold.
Directive was first, do no harm to BitShares.
Yes.
This is about building BitShares up into being something bigger, making its smart coin factory and its bit assets and everything portable across the entire EOS landscape. And we're providing the glue system that makes that possible. And so everybody who is a BitShares holder should love this, because while you're staking your BitShares, they still belong to you. And you can take them back anytime you want. Meanwhile, you're getting rainfall of BEOS, which will be, I think, a very valuable commodity coming forward. And we're doing that in a way that builds up and makes BitShares more useful for people. People will need BitShares for the next year and a half at the end of the rainfall period. And during that time, those are off the market and not trading, and therefore reducing the number of supply that's facing the investors.
Well, you definitely have the support of EOS USA. We've all shifted our BTS over to BEOS. And we plan on, I mean, I'm camping out there. You know, I saw what you guys were doing. You know, it's definitely something that I wanted to be a part of. And, you know, I mean, you guys just kept dropping bombs. You know, that silver ticket. I'm going to send you my email. That's, I love that idea. But yeah, I mean, you know, we're definitely on board with you guys, and we can't wait to see, you know, where this all you know, leads. And just being a part of it is an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing time to be alive.
I'm glad you feel that way, and I do believe that people will find that the BEOS is a lower cost way to do business than anything having to do with EOS. And therefore, people will be able to come there and implement businesses more efficiently and more cheaply than on the EOS main chain for quite a while. Obviously, at some point, we'd like to go blowing past EOS once we're in space and people realize the value of that. Who knows what the upside limit is.
You know, it's interesting to hear you speak that way. I noticed on the website for BEOS that you guys even mentioned that it was an alternative to EOS.
And you know, that is part of Dan's vision, is to have many side chains off the main EOS chain. And he's built features and functions in there to allow you to move across between the chains. So why not use that? And why not provide a new specialty that nobody else has and is maybe going to be hard for anybody else to duplicate?
It was very genius to continue to build upon the same code base for multiple blockchains for a reason. And some people have come to me later on and say, yeah, you guys are smart, you know. Dan's very smart when it comes to that, and I do believe that his vision is to have all of these chains out there. BEOS is just an alternative to that without the Constitution. It does have member agreement, but it's different. So without the Constitution, maybe a little different costs involved with operating within that ecosystem, and
Who else is going to be wanting to put side chains out?
Well, there could be all sorts of reasons why you'd want to do a sidechain, but if you do that, you've got to manage all those nodes yourself, and if you're going to put them in space, then that's another hurdle that you've got to get over. We think that moving on to the BEOS system would be an ideal middle ground for businesses to operate in. We provide all the hard-to-do stuff and let businesses build out on that. But there's nothing that says we can't, as we get more nodes in space, clone a side chain of ourselves to handle the move if we have to.
EOS is like a virus, and it just keeps spreading in different directions, getting bigger and better. And
I'm going to tell you guys this. I got conference calls that we used to have, and I used to record them so we could review it later on, some of the call, because they would go on for hours sometimes, of Stan and me and Dan Larimer and a few other people on that call discussing, the features that were going to be put into Bitshares. During those conversations, you would hear things about how we were going to later on build a social network and build an operating system based off of the graphene protocol. And this is 4 years ago, at least, 4, maybe 5 years ago. This is 2014, 2015. And this is how long this has been in the making. I can prove to you guys and anybody else that this has been a part of the process and in the wheelhouse and in the actual sites the entire time, and it's taken this long to get there, but it's been the intention. And so,
no kidding.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But I distinctly remember the specific conversations even, and where we're talking about the social media networks, how they would potentially look, ad networks, how they would potentially look, the operating system and what it could look like and how it would interact with these dApps.
Right.
It's very interesting.
That's really neat. Well, how far out did you guys discuss? Can you give us the next 5?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I was going to say, as things develop and as you want to release things and you want to let the community know, love the opportunity to be your conduit and be your platform to be able to announce this stuff and share it with the world, or be one of them, sure.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. We love the idea and love what you guys can do. So that's great stuff.
Yeah,
well, listen,
I'm in the community with EOS, but not too much. A major focus is over here. So yeah, I don't have as much of a conduit over there. So you guys, great if you guys could help with that.
We EOS Rio recently put together the Hyperion history file, the V2 file for EOS. This guy was the second one to run the history file V2. So he is on mainnet.
Hey.
Yeah, it's running on those servers right back there. So
that's our EOS server right there.
Some of them, not the ones down in Panama, obviously, but yeah, it's the majority of all of our bare metals.
Yeah, right. Well, it's great that you have the skills set there and the ability to run that. We need to get BEOS nodes sitting right beside it.
I've got the passion, not even the knowledge. We
are running some betas for some folks in other side chains and other projects, and if you can have some betas run and have another beta tester, we probably do that too. So.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I love breaking stuff.
Yeah, that's me.
How do I get a ticket to Washington, D.C. in June? Are they giving out tickets out there, or what's going on?
Why would you want to go to Washington, D.C. in June? Go now when it's got the cherry blossoms everywhere.
Cherry blossoms. Yeah, let's say it's beautiful up there.
Right now, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us. We really appreciate it. And Michael, you must reach out to us in the future if there's anything we can do to help you guys, for sure, please.
Yeah, we will do that for sure, guys. And don't be strangers either. Feel free to come in there, say hi, and cause a ruckus or whatever you want to do in there. I really appreciate it.
You guys got going on with Sovereign Sky and all that kind of stuff. Telescope. That's some interesting stuff you guys got going on. I know it's another topic from what we're talking about now, but
if you know, as things develop there and you want to talk about it, we'd love to get together with you on that as well.
Yeah, we could talk about ubiquitous and the whole idea of 3D printing being projected from space to the middle of Africa, where people can get whatever parts they need printed just in time.
That's a business that I'm working on here. It's a Wyoming-based business, but it's here in Boise right now. But it's a 3D printing marketplace / decentralized engineering hub. So as people upload their blueprints onto the blockchain, other people can then take those blueprints on the blockchain and customize them or adapt them. And then as those are reloaded onto the chain, as people are buying and selling or producing those products, the IP creators are being paid out based off of their contribution to the overall engineering of that product. And it's all on chain. So you can prove provenance, you can prove everything from your intellectual property, prior use, and then collaborate on everything. So,
Wow.
Just some cool, weird shit, right? You want to talk about use cases.
We're really glad you guys are not bored. That's one of the things that we were really concerned about. That's like you guys have checked the box on non-boredom right there. Oh my gosh.
I keep joking with Stan. I'm like, there's a reason I've been divorced twice. So.
Well, we will definitely hook up and talk about the 3D printing because I have a sincere interest in that myself. So that's cool. Very cool. Thank you.
I love that stuff. And by 2030, about 65 to 70% of all products or anything manufactured on the planet will be 3D printed. Yeah. And so there's a huge gap sitting there for anybody that wants to get involved. And I think the blockchain deserves to be front and center right in the middle of that. And graphene-based technology is pretty much the only thing that could do what we need to do to do that. So here we are.
Very cool.
Yeah, guys. I appreciate your time too, guys. And yeah, we'll let you know a little bit more about these projects as they come down the pipeline, as we get approvals for like, you know, investor decks and stuff like that, and just approvals to really talk about them a little bit more. We've been keeping them super quiet just so we can get everything done on them, and we don't want any hassle or BS, you know. So.
Do you guys feel like the stuff we've talked about here is okay for us to present?
Totally. Yeah. We haven't gone beyond what we're willing to release. We've talked about this much before, so it's okay.
Okay,
yeah,
very good.
Thank you.
You guys got some amazing poker faces. You guys know what
it is. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are motivating the whole world right now, so keep doing what you're doing. This is exciting stuff.
Awesome, man. Great talking to you.
Guys, thank you so much, Mr. Larimer. It was great meeting you. Michael, definitely see you around at Telegram channels. We'll talk to you guys soon.